now taken some time to look at the 7 different techniques that are used for propaganda. There are some things that I think you might have noticed by now. One of them is that most of the examples that we've used come from either advertising or from politics. And these are really the sources of propaganda a lot, because they are trying to influence public opinion, and they don't necessarily have a set of standards that regulates that they need to use fair or unbiased methods to do so. You'll notice that anytime that we have seen journalism or academics, that type of writing, instead of using the propaganda techniques, they're much more likely to be talking about these propaganda techniques, either naming them as unfair tactics or analyzing how that the politician has influenced people. Another question that you might have is, why does all of this matter? What is the purpose of learning the names of all of these types of techniques? And so I want us to look closer at a certain example in order to try to dig at why this matters. Okay, so right here we have an advertisement, and I actually first saw this advertisement on an article that was titled 100 Years of Ridiculous Beauty Ads. Now, if it had not been titled Ridiculous Beauty Ads, it's possible that I might not have noticed that I think this is ridiculous. But it was titled that, and so I open this, I look at it, and I say to myself, I don't like it. But I don't know exactly what it is that's turning me off about this ad, or why it might work on another person. I think if you find this particular woman beautiful, this is the most obvious reason why it might work. If you don't, then that would be possibly the most obvious reason why it doesn't work. But I want us to look at how unpacking the propaganda techniques that are used here can help us to pinpoint what it is that we don't like about it, and it will also give us an idea of why this is important in the bigger picture. Okay, so let's start with the techniques that are used here. Okay, so this is an advertisement for Palmolive soap. And it says, "I pledge myself to guard every bit of beauty that he cherishes in me." So this slogan right here we can identify as glittering generalities, okay? Because we have words like pledge, and we have guard, which we can see here. We've got some soldiers. We're clearly at a war time when this advertisement is out. I'm not totally sure when, because I don't have a date on the advertisement. I would guess probably the Korean War. And beauty. Beauty is even capitalized, which really highlights that this is a glittering generality. Something everybody likes, but we're not sure exactly how all of this is going to go down. Now, in addition to that, behind this woman, we have a crowd of other women. So with this crowd, we're also seeing that this is a bandwagon type of propaganda. So it's not just this woman who's doing it. There's some suggestion that if you don't use Palmolive, then you're missing out on being like all of these women. And then here, this is the biggest one. For him and him and him. Now, presuming this is at the time of the Korean War, and we have here a person who's in the army, and here a person who may be a Marine or maybe a police officer, and here we have somebody who's in the Navy. Okay, red, white, and blue here. So in addition, we've also got transfer propaganda. I'm supposed to transfer these very positive feelings that I have about these soldiers and again about the U.S. cause, and I'm going to transfer that feeling to Palmolive. And the suggestion now becomes that it's somehow the patriotic duty of this woman to preserve her beauty for these soldiers that are fighting overseas. They're going to protect the nation by fighting, and she's going to support them by remaining beautiful. Okay, so in some ways, all of this logic is clearly ridiculous, but I want to highlight to you the more important point that In addition to selling you Palmolive soap, this advertisement is also selling you the idea that a woman's value resides in her beauty. So that it's her duty, her responsibility to remain beautiful. And that this is actually a much more pernicious kind of idea, and one that pervades advertising and even narratives throughout our culture, that those things are actually being promoted also by these propaganda techniques. So when you have a technique that is not logical and not fair, that's a biased technique, you're also getting this flip side that promotes ideas that really just might not be good ideas. So I want you to keep your eyes on that. We're actually, some of you will see later on another article about conventional wisdom, and its idea was that, or one of the ideas in it is that before Listerine could sell you mouthwash, they first had to sell you the idea that it was very important not to have bad breath. And I submit to you that Palmolive is doing the same thing here. Before they can sell you a Palmolive soap, first they have to sell you the idea that being young and beautiful is an incredibly important task.